The galaxy burns in memory of a single command: execute Order 66. A phrase that changed the light of 1,000 worlds into shadow. But what if that command never worked? What if, on that day, something or someone broke the code? Tonight we step into a different galaxy, a galaxy where fate shatters and the Jedi rise one last time, where Anakin Skywalker's destiny twists into something unrecognizable, and where the Force itself rebels against the chains of the Sith. This is the story of the failed Order 66, the hidden timeline that could have remade the Star Wars galaxy forever. Theory 1. The spark that broke the code. In this alternate reality, the first deviation is almost invisible. On Kamino, a low-ranking technician named Ton Vex, secretly sympathetic to the Jedi, begins to question the inhibitor chips. He notices a faint signal. Anomaly. The chips pulse in rhythm with a subspace frequency that doesn't match any Kaminoan broadcast, a Sith-encrypted signal hidden deep within the eye. Republic's comms network, Vex traces it back to Coruscant, but before he can report it, a silent order comes through, and the anomaly stops. Moments later, as clones across the galaxy receive the signal for Order 66, something unexpected happens. 10% of the chips fail. A single misfire in the code, and that 10%? They hesitate. They question. They remember. Theory 2. The Jedi that survived. When the command spreads, most Jedi fall before they even ignite their sabers. But on scattered worlds, resistance sparks. On Felucia, Aayla Secura deflects the first volley, and her troopers freeze as half of them turn on their brothers. On Kashyyyk, Yoda senses the flicker of confusion in Commander Gree's mind and uses the Force not to strike, but to purge the corruption, forcing the chip into dormancy. On Saleucami, Stas Allie escapes into the canyons, guided by clone deserters who claim their minds woke up. Word spreads through the Force like ripples through still water. Something has changed. Theory 3. The hidden network. The surviving Jedi, scattered and bleeding, begin to regroup, not as an order, but as a ghost network. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda establish the Beacon, a coded transmission hidden beneath the ancient Jedi warning. It tells any who survive, trust the clones who remember. Meanwhile, Captain Rex, fighting off his own activation, rips his chip out on Coruscant. He gathers other freed ones, clones who resisted, and forms the Ghost Legion, a rogue clone battalion operating in the Outer Rim. The Republic thinks they're dead. The Empire is still unborn, and Palpatine begins to feel the first cracks in his grand design. Theory 4. Anakin's turning point. Without the full success of Order 66, Palpatine's manipulation of Anakin fractures. He still names himself Emperor, but chaos delays his ascension. Anakin is sent to finish the Jedi personally, but when he confronts Obi-Wan on Mustafar, the world isn't a fiery hell, it's silent. The Jedi, led by Yoda, have already uncovered recordings proving Sidious's orchestration of the war. Anakin arrives expecting traitors. He finds truth, and the truth breaks him. The two duel not in hatred, but in grief. Every strike is hesitation, every block is sorrow, until Obi-Wan lowers his saber, and Anakin does not strike. For the first time, he sees through the darkness that clouded him. Theory 5. Palpatine's backup plan. But the Sith always plan ahead. In secret, Palpatine had grown Project Shadow Hand, experimental clones without identity, infused with dark side rituals. When Order 66 fails, he activates them. They become the Purged Troopers Prime, soulless echoes meant to finish what the clones could not. These abominations are neither human nor clone. They're something worse, extensions of the dark side itself. But the Jedi have time now, and allies, to fight back. Theory 6. In the rise of the New Republic, Padme Amidala, alive and aware of Palpatine's deception, publicly reveals evidence of the Sith's control of the Senate. Billions witness it live. The galaxy erupts. Planets declare independence, not from the Jedi, but from fear. Rogue clones, freed Jedi, and rebellious senators form the Alliance of Light, precursor to what will one day be the New Republic. The Empire never rises, but a galactic civil war does. Theory 7. The Force rebalances. In this fractured galaxy, something unexpected awakens. The Force itself shifts. No longer dominated by extremes of light and dark, it begins to seek balance in living beings. The Jedi evolve. Attachments are no longer forbidden. Emotion is studied, not feared. Anakin becomes the bridge between two philosophies, the Jedi and the Sith, a living balance keeper. Theory 8. The final battle on Coruscant. Palpatine refuses to fall quietly. He summons his shadow hands, channels the force storms once seen in ancient Sith legends. Coruscant burns, but this time it is not Luke Skywalker who faces him. It is Anakin Skywalker, still whole. He leads both Jedi and clones into the Imperial Palace. The duel shakes the planet. Lightning and saber light carve the skies. In the end, Anakin channels every life he has saved, every clone, every Jedi, and binds their will together. The Force surges, and Sidious disintegrates in a blinding storm of energy. The dark side consumes itself, and the galaxy is reborn. Theory 9. The fractured Republic. The Republic stands, but it is bleeding. In the aftermath of the failed Order 66, the galaxy is split between three voices: the Loyalists, system still clinging to the dream of the old Republic, led by Padme Amidala and Bail Organa; the Militarists, former admirals and clone commanders who believe peace can only come through control; the Shadows, followers of the dark side, remnants of Palpatine's cults and corrupted governors who refuse to surrender their newfound power. The Senate chamber becomes a war of whispers. Every senator fears the clone beside them. Every clone questions his orders, and among the Jedi, unity fractures into something new, a question that has haunted them for centuries. Can the Jedi protect peace without becoming its jailers? Theory 10. The birth of the Grey Jedi, Ahsoka. Tano, now a wandering Force wielder, becomes the voice of a new philosophy. She calls it the middle path. She teaches that the Force isn't a war between light and dark. It's a living ocean, and both currents are necessary. Her followers begin to appear across the Outer Rim. Warriors who refuse the Council's dogma, but also reject the lure of the Sith. They wear gray robes and carry sabers of shifting hues: white, silver, and pale gold. They are the first to call themselves the Grey Jedi Order. In this new world, the Jedi are no longer guardians of the Republic. They are guardians of balance. Theory 11. Anakin Skywalker. The redeemed shadow, Anakin becomes the reluctant symbol of the new age. Once a weapon of war, now a symbol of hope, but haunted by what could have been. He visits the ruins of the Jedi Temple, its walls scarred by betrayal and fire. In the silence, he hears echoes, voices of fallen friends, memories of futures that no longer exist. He sees visions, a man in black armor breathing through a mask, a son he never met fighting him beneath twin suns, and the Force whispers, "This is what you escaped." But the shadow remains. Anakin vows that no one will fall like he almost did. He becomes the first master of balance, training Jedi to understand their fears, not to banish them. Theory 12. The Clone Rebellion. The clones, once soldiers, now free men, begin to fracture too. Many cannot live with the guilt of what they nearly did. Others, stripped of purpose, turn mercenary or criminal. But one legion stands apart, Rex's Ghost Battalion. The survivors who fought against Order 66. They become defenders of the Outer Rim, acting without Republic command, loyal only to each other and to the Jedi they saved. In time, they become legends, ghost soldiers appearing in the darkest wars, saving entire colonies before fading into the stars. And among them, a saying spreads: we were created for war, but born for something greater. Theory 13. The rise of the Force priests. Yoda, after defeating Sidious and seeing the galaxy's scars, retreats into exile once more, but this time not to hide, but to teach differently. He journeys deep into the unknown regions and finds a world ancient beyond memory, a temple made of living stone, guarded by beings of light and shadow. The Force priests. They are the true interpreters of the cosmic force. They tell Yoda that the Sith were never the beginning of darkness. They were merely its echo. Through them, Yoda learns that the Force is not divided by morality, but by understanding. He returns years later, changed, luminous, serene, and helps the new Jedi Order rewrite their teachings. Theory 14. The hidden hand of the Sith. Eternal, but even in defeat, darkness endures. Far beneath Coruscant's surface, the cult of the Sith Eternal, fanatics and dark technologists, continue Palpatine's experiments. They cannot revive the Emperor's body, but they can preserve his essence. They begin growing clones, imperfect, unstable vessels, each designed to contain a fragment of Sidious's soul. They call the project Eclipse. From the shadows they whisper a prophecy. The Emperor will rise again when light and dark no longer know their names. Theory 15. Padme's legacy. Padme Amidala survives childbirth in this timeline. With the truth of Palpatine's crimes exposed, she becomes the moral compass of the recovering Republic. But power always demands sacrifice. Her political allies beg her to lead, but she refuses a crown, instead forming the Order of Peace, a coalition of senators and Jedi mediators dedicated to rebuilding democracy. Luke and Leia grow up not in exile, but in the heart of Coruscant's reconstruction. Their parents, a Jedi and a stateswoman, embody the unity of two forces long thought opposite: duty and compassion. Theory 16. The shadows of Mandalore. Meanwhile, in the Outer Rim, Mandalore stirs. Without the Empire to control them, the Mandalorians begin a civil war between two factions. Those who follow the ancient warrior code under the Darksaber, led by Bo-Katan, and those who embrace the Jedi way, trained by Ahsoka and the Grey Order. This war becomes the crucible that shapes the galaxy's future. Mandalore, once a world of conquest, becomes a symbol of balance. Warriors who walk the line between honor and peace. Theory 17. The hidden prophecy of the Chosen One, deep within the rebuilt Jedi archives. An ancient prophecy is uncovered, older than the Republic, older even than the Sith. It speaks of a child of suns who will bring balance not through victory, but through understanding both sides of the Force. The Jedi realize something profound. The Chosen One prophecy was never about destroying the Sith. It was about ending the war within the Force itself. Anakin's survival, his rejection of both Jedi arrogance and Sith passion, fulfills that prophecy. In this world, the Force finally breathes again. Theory 18. The return of Plague is far away in the unknown regions. The one being who truly understood immortality awakens. Darth Plagueis, thought long dead, returns. Sustained by experiments he began centuries ago. He sees the galaxy at peace and sneers. Peace is stagnation. Balance is death. He begins manipulating from the shadows once more, reaching out to those who crave power in a time of calm. His presence corrupts the dreams of Force users across the galaxy. The Sith name may be gone, but its will remains. Theory 19. The twilight of the Force. As the decades pass, the Force begins to evolve again. The light and dark no longer exist as absolutes. They weave together, creating new manifestations. Some Jedi can heal with darkness. Some warriors can fight with light. The galaxy witnesses the birth of Twilight Force users, beings who channel both sides without being consumed. Among them is Luke Skywalker, now grown, wielding a blade that shifts from blue to red to white, the living symbol of the Force's rebirth. Theory 20. The end and the beginning. In the final years of Anakin's life, the galaxy stands united. No empire, no Jedi purge, just countless worlds learning, failing, rebuilding. Anakin sits on the steps of the new Jedi Temple, rebuilt not on Coruscant, but on Ahch-To, the first Jedi world. He watches the twin suns set, holding his daughter's hand. Leia asks, "Father, was the galaxy ever truly dark?" And Anakin smiles, "Only when we were afraid to look into the light." As the camera pans away, the stars shimmer, not as distant fires, but as reflections of every life touched by the Force. Because in this timeline, the Jedi didn't fall, they evolved, and the galaxy learned that even the smallest act of compassion can rewrite destiny. The galaxy remembers silence before it remembers peace. There was a moment, one heartbeat in time, when the Force itself seemed to hold its breath. The blade was raised. The code was broken. The future was meant to end in fire, but something ancient stirred. Not in the stars, not in temples or councils, but within the hearts of those who refuse to let go. Order 66 was not the death of the Jedi. It was their transformation. For centuries, they believed the Force demanded purity, that to feel was to fall, that to love was to risk darkness. But in the ashes of the purge that never came, they learned the greatest truth of all. The Force does not crave perfection. It craves balance. It thrives not in silence, but in understanding. When the clones laid down their weapons, when Anakin Skywalker chose mercy over fear, when Padmé's voice reached the hearts of worlds, a ripple spread across the cosmos, and that ripple became a wave. The temples burned. But from their ruins rose something greater, a new kind of Jedi, not of light, not of darkness, but of harmony. Ahsoka's wanderers became the Grey Order. Yoda's exile became revelation. The Force priests whispered new prophecies of futures yet to be written, of stars yet to be born. The Republic rebuilt itself, not as an empire but as a community of hope. The clones found peace and freedom, and the galaxy, for the first time, began to dream. Yet, even in peace, shadows lingered, for balance is not the end of darkness. It is the understanding that light and shadow are both necessary. Without night, the sunrise means nothing. Without loss, victory has no weight, and so, the Jedi learned to walk between both, to embrace their fear without becoming its slave. Anakin Skywalker, the man who once stood on the brink of eternal night, became a symbol not of power, but of forgiveness. He taught that redemption is not erasing one's past. It's choosing, every day, not to repeat it. And in the twilight of his life, as the sons of Achtu fell below the horizon, he understood what all Jedi were meant to learn. The Force does not belong to the light or the dark. It belongs to those who listen. The stars above flickered, not as distant fires, but as the echoes of every life that had ever touched the Force. Each light, a story. Each story, a lesson. Some burned bright and faded. Others dimmed and rose again. Together they formed the endless constellation of destiny. And in that infinite tapestry, one truth endured. The Force is eternal not because it cannot be destroyed, but because it is reborn in every act of compassion, every choice to forgive, every hand reaching out in the dark, every spark of hope that refuses to die. It is not the Jedi that save the galaxy. It is what they stand for. The belief that light can always return, and as long as even one being in the galaxy chooses to stand, to love, to hope, the Force will never fade because light does not end. It simply waits for someone brave enough to ignite it again.